hit the button, so we're good. And okay, we're live. That's it. It's Sunday. You know what day it is. That's right. Another day without Tim, so you know it's going to be a good show. It's like the Brady Bunch opening, but cooler. But how's everybody been? What's new in your guys' neighborhoods?
Nothing.
Not too much. I've been outside all day doing yard chores. It's been fun.
Oh my gosh.
Honeydews.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Several hours with the power off, I can still feel the vibrations, you know.
Yeah, that'll do it. I need to get out there and beautify my yard, that's for sure. Anybody hit up the LCS at all this week? Any cool comic book stories? Yeah, food. We got a yes.
Check this out. I don't mean to do all the talking, but this is cool. Comic Vantage sent me a tip. He said, "Hey, do you know Rick's Comic City in Nashville?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, the creator of Rise of Dracula just was there this morning. He posted on Instagram that he went up and he signed some of the books that were still sitting on the shelf." So I rushed over there and check it out. There it is. Rich Davis.
Very cool.
So yeah. So that had me hunting all over Nashville yesterday. It was a ton of fun.
Now, is that a popular book these days?
It's supposedly pretty good, yeah. So it started with Cult of Dracula, and then it moved into Rise of Dracula. So
interesting. I don't think I've had the pleasure. Has he done any work for DC at all?
Not that I know of. But whenever you get like a comic creator in town, and he was like hopping store to store too. So I was like trying to see if I could catch him, but no luck.
Crazy. Yeah, we don't get any creators here, especially in my neck of the woods, which is weird. The last big creator that came through here was probably Jim Lee. I know that's like almost all the way to the top, but that was probably close to 18 years ago.
Wow.
That was nuts. Yeah, it was a long time ago, but look who pops up.
So let me ask our friends, especially our guests, did you guys see, know of, or have any luck trying to get a JLA Avengers trade paperback this week?
I seen them, but they were way overpriced, so I didn't even bother even trying to get one. I was just but what my shop did, I ordered from Capcan Comics, and they were putting all of the proceeds to the Hero Initiative. Sure. So that was pretty cool of them.
So they were jacking up the price? Was this an LCS that you found them at? Yeah,
it was online and stuff. They were doing it. I think they're just normal price. I think what were they going for?
They were $29.99 US dollars.
Yeah, it was about $40, but that's Canadian, so.
Yeah.
How many toonies is that? That's my favorite currency. How many toonies is that?
The toonies or loonies?
When I was a kid, we went to Canada and they were telling me about loonies and toonies. And I was 9. The first thing that came to my mind was cartoons. Wait a minute. What? that can't be real. But yeah. Bub's World, welcome. What's up, buddy? How you been?
Well, I tried my best, guys. I had dreams of sitting here tonight on Fanboys with just a fan of JLA Avengers, one for each of you. I hit up 5 different shops. Lasso, I'm sorry. I tried very hard.
It's all right.
But one of the 5 shops I hit got one.
Oh, really?
Except for the last one. The last one I got to at the end of the day, he just looked at me. He's like, "We're sold out by now." I was like, "Oh."
My LCS.
Could you imagine if you were handing out JLA Avengers to the panel, how angry Tim would have been not to be here tonight?
I wanted to have one for every one of you here, plus one to give away for free, but to the audience. But no luck. That
would have been really cool. I know.
I let
even if
everyone
we
down.
just had one to give away, that would have been worth it.
Yeah.
But my LCS, even if you had to place an order like almost as soon as it was announced to even get a chance. So if you were coming in like 2 weeks before they even released it, like not going to happen. You ain't getting one.
So how did it work? Because like when I went in, 3 of the different LCS I went into hadn't even heard of the book. They didn't know anything about it. They're sitting there researching it after I asked them.
Well, then I'm not trying to, I don't know. If you didn't know that this was going on, I mean, this was pretty well publicized. I mean,
yeah.
The deal is there's only 7,000 of them were printed, and they say there will not be another printing, and it benefits the Heroes Initiative, which is such a fantastic cause. And it was really up to the LCS's discretion on how they were going to sell them. And just because they ordered them doesn't mean that they were going to get. There were some that ordered them and didn't get any copies. I don't think any LCS got as many copies as they ordered. I just don't think that was possible. But
so they did have to order them, though.
Oh yeah, they had to be ordered from Diamond. Diamond was the only distributor that had them.
Okay.
But I get what you're saying. Like, how could an LCS not know what they are? Like, wouldn't they be in like the Diamond previews for the LCS? Like, it's surprising that some of them didn't even see them.
Yeah, that just goes to show that just because they're getting the previews doesn't mean they're looking at them.
I guess. Yeah.
These are the people in charge of your comic books.
Right? Jaguar,
well, I didn't order in advance either, so there you go.
Hey, Jag, if I don't know if you're just joining us in progress, were you able to get a JLA Avengers? Because Jag's got good hookup, so I'm curious if Jag got one or not. Drop us a note in the chat and let us know.
He probably got one. He's
a pretty cool guy. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. If they only awarded them in the coolness factor, Jag was on the top of that list.
I believe it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to quick transition here to DC news. Well, honestly, we could do a whole episode just about the DC news that got dropped this week. But
Tony's excited.
I'm very excited. It is exciting. It is very exciting. The movies might not be that great, but they're just movies. You know what I mean? Not everything's going to be $1 billion blockbuster hit. So it was. There's no actual way to confirm this, but someone said a very reliable source who is right almost 100% of the time about some of these early leaks about DC and Marvel movies has said the reason they move the schedules around with the lineup of DC movies is Warner Brother Discovery merge. I guess there's a new head honcho for all that. Wanted to rearrange it so it could meet some scheduling with certain DC actors, mainly Henry Cavill, which is good news for all you big Superman fans. And then all of a sudden, Henry Cavill's agent announced that his availability is during those dates. They're doing some reshoots for some of these movies. He's gone all of a sudden. You know what I mean? So is he doing the reshoots? Is that why he's unavailable? Who knows? But it certainly brings a lot of life into the Snyderverse, in my opinion. I don't know if you guys are big fans of the Snyderverse. What do you think, Southern? Are you a big fan? Does that excite you at all? That it could come back?
I think Henry Cavill is a good Superman. So I mean, if he's coming back, that's great. I mean, I like the most parts, more aspects of the Snyderverse than I did the Whedonverse. So
the Whedonverse, yes. That's a good way to put it. It was not great. TM, what do you think?
Does this mean the Vision Snyder head is going to come about now? Like, are we going to get what his vision is?
I think what it's going to do is he's not going to be he's not going to direct any of the movies, but he might be a producer or an executive producer on some of these upcoming movies. And they want to sign Henry Cavill to a 6-picture deal, which will include a Man of Steel 2, Justice League 2 and 3, and a DC Trinity movie featuring Ben Affleck and Gal Gadot. And himself. The Trinity movie, from what I
I
understand,
mean, we
would
kind
be-
of already got that, right?
Yeah.
They just didn't name
sense-
it properly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in a sense, you're right. But this would be like, they already know who each other are. They're already well established in their, spheres of influence. So this would be them at their peak, going around doing superhero stuff, which would
So
be pretty
what
cool.
fantastic DC villain would they ruin this time?
Oh, throw a dart. There's so many. I would imagine the big climactic would have to be either Darkseid or Brainiac, because those are the only two really big bads that would take a lead.
If it's going to be another Superman movie, I think they will go for Brainiac, because that's the one villain they never really did on the big screen. They did it on the small screen with Krypton, and in Smallville, but other than that, they have not touched it. Like, they wanted to do it back in the early Superman movies, didn't they?
They did.
I don't think so. Maybe they did. Is that true?
They did. Superman 3 was supposed to be a Brainiac, and the Superman 78 comic book that came out is based on that unused script with Brainiac. So, but I mean, they kind of did tout a Legion of Doom, like a collection of villains coming together to go after the Justice League. So that could be it too. But another thing too, when you have so many characters, I mean, I think sometimes that's what hurts it. We don't need two villains for every movie.
Right.
We just need one good villain.
And he
I
doesn't
agree.
even. You're right. We just need one good villain, and you don't even really have to beat him in the movie. You know what I mean? Like, that villain could go. I don't want to say retreat, but live to fight another day. You know what I mean?
Oh, you mean he doesn't have to die like all Marvel movies?
He doesn't have to die. No, like all Marvel
Okay.
movies. But yeah, you're right. I always thought that was weird in superhero movies, like Zod. Like, Zod was this really big Superman villain that they could have done so much more with, but they killed him in the first movie. But that's weird. Yeah. Anybody else got any DC news?
I have some news.
All right, Magic Lasso,
I
what do you got?
I have two pieces of news. We'll do the television part first, since you're talking movies.
Sure.
So two of the Arrowverse shows have been confirmed for renewal. The Flash is coming back for a 9th season that will make it the longest superhero show on the CW network ever. I do understand that this
Really?
season's finale,
Wasn't Smallville?
Yeah, Smallville was 10 seasons.
but that's not
Because-
considered Arrowverse.
Oh, right.
So I do understand that the Flash is this season that we're on right now is written, the last episode is written as a series finale. So every loose end will be tied up because they didn't know if they were coming back or not. So the next season that we're going to be starting fresh, and more than likely next season will be the last season for the Flash. Grant Gustin pretty much wants to be done playing this role, and he's kind of expressed that. Also renewed is Superman and Lois for season 3. That is coming back, which is not surprising. That's probably the best superhero show they have right now. Their other superhero shows are up in the air as if they will be renewed or not. You know, that includes Legends of Tomorrow, Naomi, and Batwoman.
Legends of Tomorrow, the way I've been keeping up with that and the way it's going, it seems like they are going to end it, or they're just kind of like weary of where the story is going. But like, even the story's kind of run its course on that show, because it's no longer DC Legends of Tomorrow. It's like Legends of Tomorrow, because
Gotcha.
it's not even like even DC characters. They're just running through time at this point.
Yeah, I used to love Legends of Tomorrow. I forget where I fell off, but that was one of my favorite shows for a long time on the CW.
It was
I
a
really
fun
enjoyed
one.
it. Yeah, especially because when all the people on, the other shows, CW shows would drop off, Legends would pick them up. And I'm glad that they brought on John Constantine on that show. I thought it was a great, salute to how underrated his show was and how well of an actor he is.
Yep. I also want to mention in DC news, maybe you guys saw this. How much would you pay for just a piece of the cover of Action Comics #1 that has been CGC certified and graded? How about it's sold for? And let me tell you what it is first before I tell you how much it's sold for. It's just the part of Action Comics where it says #1. Just that little rectangle like that.
You've found bigger pieces of Fufetti in your packages before, Lasso.
I have. This has sold for $7,101, and this is what we're talking about.
I thought he was going to hold it up like he had it. You know what I mean?
Like, yeah, and I was the one who bought it.
See that blue that you're seeing on that screen?
Yep.
That is what is encapsulated in that slab. Is just the blue.
Well, that's about all I could ever afford off of an actual Action Comics #1 is just a corner piece.
$7,000, you could buy. You could get something really nice.
You need a lot of exam books for that. You might could even get a first Constantine.
Yeah.
Oh,
Burn.
Now,
I
what
like
happened to the rest of the book?
I don't know, but
That's a great question, right?
Because it's very cleanly cut out. So it's like, did they cut it up into little pieces and they like CGC'd each piece? Or
Oh no!
How does
Like
CGC
next month, we're gonna see like another piece of it getting slabbed and sold. Like that's their plan. They're just gonna they cut it up into pieces to sell it on the market for more than what it's worth.
and
Because
let's
really, right now, it's just confetti.
let's face it, for years, I mean, the marketplace has been fooled by the treasury size reprint, although it's slightly bigger, but people have ripped the cover off of that and sold it and tried passing it off as an Action Comics #1 quite successfully to some people, because the indicia still says 1939 on it, like the original does. But how does CGC know that this actually came? I mean, let's face it, CGC has made some mistakes in their time and have been caught on it.
True. There's a way they can. I forget how they do it, but there's a way they can measure all things really, and whether or not they were made pre-1945 or post-1945.
and you think CGC is going to that effort?
No,
You
I
think they
don't.
have those tools to do that? I mean,
This is the same company that encapsulated a
FBI.
piece of human hair with a book. And yeah. But then again, they're a company run by humans. They're going to make mistakes, full disclosure. And this company, or this show, by the way, absolutely does not have any sponsors at all. It's just so much better than the other guys, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Just so refreshing. They just really hit the spot, you know?
So, talking about DC, I think this just recently came out, and it certainly just got it myself. This is the Absolute Swamp Thing by Alan Moore.
Ooh,
So
awesome.
nice collected edition there. I mean, these are really nicely made. Got the bookmarks, the felt type cover.
is it felt? Okay, I was just gonna say that looks
And
nice.
anyway, so it's got some sketch stuff and stuff like that after the story in the back. So this is I think the final installment.
And it
So-
is such a great story. If you've never read that, you really need to go check it out. It's so worth it.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's very cool.
I breezed through the first 2 volumes, having never read Swamp Thing before. So
Yeah, you don't need to enjoy that story.
That's another
Yeah.
show that was killed too
Right.
early.
Right. And what was the issue for it? It was like they didn't know how to do their taxes.
Yes, the state of one of the Carolinas, I forget which one, couldn't forgot to add a 0 at the end. So instead of paying $26,000 in taxes, they actually ended up owing $260,000. And DC said, "Forget it."
well,
Forget
and Copy 801, these are not cheap. It's got a $100 price tag on this one. It's a little cheaper on Amazon though. So
Sure.
looking to get one.
Does that come with any kind of original artwork, like prints in the book at all?
It doesn't come they're not separate, but there
Okay.
are some sketches and stuff that are at the back of the book.
Very cool. Very cool. Very cool indeed. Anybody else got any cool news? Cool news. Going once, twice sold. Okay, let's jump into the book review here. I guess I'll kick things off here. Mine's pretty quick. I think I've shown this book before, but I don't think we've ever reviewed it. Let me share my screen if I can remember how to do it. Oh, yeah, share. Not slides. Get out of here. Share screen. This guy. Oh yeah, here we go. Red Lanterns, number 1. This one's a good
The
book.
Blue Lantern on the cover.
Well, technically yes, but no.
I know.
Because it's a 3D cover, and for whatever reason, they only show the Blue Lantern. Because it does show him as a Red Lantern. So that's kind of neat. So we kick things off here with this crazy looking snake getting a Red Lantern ring, which I thought was pretty cool. And in the scales, you can see Red Lantern symbols, which is neat. I don't know if they did that on purpose, or maybe that's getting that as he's getting a Red Lantern ring. I'm not sure. Who, Fu, you would know this. I cannot remember her name.
Bleeze.
Bleeze. Okay, so Bleeze shows up trying to convert this snake into Red Lantern, realizing how worthless it probably is. Maybe they were trying to recreate a Death Star. Remember the Red Lantern cat? Maybe she was trying to do something like that. But the Red Snake tries to attack our Blue Lantern friend here, Guy Gardner, and it is unsuccessful. He's managed to catch the snake in midair and remove its red ring. For those of you who don't know, Blue Lanterns can remove, without killing the host, the Red Lantern ring. It is a power they possess, and it is unique to them. I think. I don't think the Indigo Lanterns can do that. I'll ask my lantern expert, Comic Fu, if that's true. Luckily, we have an in-house expert.
Yeah, I don't believe the Indigo can do that.
Okay, fair enough. So Kyle gives it, or not Kyle, Guy gives it back. And then all of a sudden they realize that she is like covered in Red Lantern rings, like some kind of infestation, like a bunch of ticks or something. I thought that was pretty neat. So they fly off to Earth, or no, Sector 2814, Yam Salt. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. It's the home planet of the Red Lanterns. They're going to check out the Red Lantern battery. Everyone is confused why there's a Blue Lantern here. But Bleeze in this story has kind of been outcast from the other Red Lanterns. They just keep calling it some kind of event. They're kind of hanging out by the fire, kind of being buds, kind of being pals. And the Red Lanterns and the Blue Lanterns aren't known for being kind to one another. We cut to the floating kingdom in space.
Bleeze is a very cool character, first of all. And she can be really like kind of horrific, but she's also one of the more reasonable ones at times. Like, she's not quite as loony in the head.
Yes. And the Sinestro Corps version of her, I know she's pretty unpredictable. And I can't remember her name either. They're the same species. We go to the floating palace in space, and that is in Sector 666, the palace of Red King Jack. Kind of like this floating British monarchy in space kind of attire, which I thought was pretty cool. I like his chainmail made out of Red Lantern rings. I thought that was pretty neat. But they think they came to the wrong place. He ends up taking these two out with this big dragon. Bleeze and Guy Gardner just happen to be there, and they kill this dragon with a big blue sword. She's asking, Blue Lanterns can't do that, blah, blah, blah. They're purely defensive. Turns out Kyle has, not Kyle, I keep saying Kyle, because he's the worst of the Lanterns, right? It's Guy Gardner, and he's got all the rings around his neck, which kind of gives him the ability to do things that Blue Lanterns can't do. They get attacked because the guy's mad he killed the dragons. So how is he going to kill these other lanterns? With the old school British Army like line of fire, like riflemen from the 1800s. I thought that was pretty funny. So he gives the command to fire. They protect themselves by creating a giant bubble. Bleeze goes into super Red Lantern mode. And they have this epic Blue Lantern or Red Lantern flight. And Guy Gardner's kind of watching. And then all the Red Lantern rings from Bleeze go and get collected. And they have this. Oh, where is it? I skipped the panel. Right here. They remove his Red Lanterns, remove his rings, so he's kind of unprotected in space. And then they realize that the two of them were actually more than friends at some point in their time of meeting, and that's where the story kind of ends with Guy Gardner giving them a little bit of hope because he is a Blue Lantern at this point in the DC universe. So that's this story in a nutshell. Pretty cool. What's up, Bake the Snake?
Hey, Bake.
How's it going?
Who wants to grab a story?
I'll let one of our guests go.
Sure.
Which, by the way, if we didn't already say hello to them, hello, Southern and TM Nerdy.
Hello.
Yeah, they've been here a while. If you haven't said hi to them, please do. Yeah, Southern, you got a story for us?
Sure. Boo, were you able to pull it up or no?
Yeah, give me a second here. And I will do my best to keep up because I did not read this.
I saw this. This was the first time I had read something like this. This is a pretty good story.
Yeah, it is a pretty good story, which I'm a fan of most of the Black Label stuff anyway.
Oh, yeah.
And then especially the White Knight Murphy verse, as they call it. But so this is just a one shot, kind of giving the backstory of this universe's version of Mr. Freeze. So if you want to scroll on down here, most of this stuff is done by Klaus Janson. And so it opens up right here. Is that the opening page? Sure. Yeah, that's right. So it opens up right here with the killing of this Jewish person, which is interesting because in this day of political correctness, that this is a story about history, and if we don't know history, we're doomed to repeat it. So you can't gloss over what people do wrong. You can only try to do better. And so I think that this is the overarching thing of the story. So this goes back into the past and then it moves forward here. And so we have who we know as Mr. Freeze looking at a picture of him and his father, who was a Nazi officer. We saw him a while ago, and enter this lady right here, which will save. Well, that's Nora. So that's the love of his life. In most of DC continuity, she's frozen or she's the big baddie herself, but she's kind of given them the guilt trip for working for a company that essentially was funded by Germans. So not just because it's not guilt by association. Sometimes, bad people good people hook up with bad people under weird circumstances. And I think that was what the deal was with that. So she's kind of guilt tripping him when, if you'll scroll on down, Thomas Wayne and Martha Wayne enter into the picture. So Martha Wayne is great with child, but she should not be delivering as of yet. So they rush in. Freeze kind of diagnoses the situation and wants to use his Freeze chironetics. Anyways, use that stuff to try to stabilize her. And so they go through the process and get her stabilized. And then that's when Thomas Wayne and him, if you'll keep on scrolling, walk into his office, and he begins to tell the story about how Wayne Enterprises basically pulled, Mr. Freeze's dad and the technology out of Germany and brought him over. And he's like, look, me and my parents, or me and my dad really don't see eye to eye. So they start telling the backstory about how his dad and this Jewish guy were the best of buds. It was at the height of Hitler's rise to power. And if you'll scroll on down, they were scientists, and his dad basically was not a big fan of Hitler, but he was more of a fan of the science and how Hitler being in power could fund that said science, right? And so it was science at any cost, regardless of whether it's the Jews' lives or his friendship or whatever. So his dad, even at this point right here, gets upset because Victor knocks something over and he hits him. Well, it's at this point that basically this Jewish man becomes Victor's, I guess, surrogate father or whatever. So basically, he's basically like his uncle. So much so that he was hanging out with the whole family to the point to where the young child was born. I think on the next page. So he's just all a big part of the family. And even though Victor's dad was not, or should have been there, he was not, because he was meeting with Hitler. So scroll down, they're preparing for war. Of course, we know, should know some of that story there as far as World War II and everything that was going. No, Russ, this was a Black Label story. It was a one-shot that was done. So Victor's dad comes in there and they commence to get into an argument because he says, hey, you've got to move you and your family to my labs. That way you're safe, which if you know history, that's the way the Germans kind of phrased that. And keep scrolling down. So come to find out, he was using this technology to experiment on the Jews, which the Germans did. And so when his friend finds out, he's like, all right, I'm done. I'm out. We've got to get out of here. If you keep scrolling down. He says, hey, I'm going to get out of here. So he picks up his family, including Victor, and takes him there. And they're stopped. We're getting towards where the first part of the story was picking up. So they stop. Keep going. And so, he gets involved. Victor's dad gets involved in the deal. Of course, he's not going to stand up because he knows his life is on the line too, and ultimately his science, because he's still thinking in terms of that. And then we see here where he snatches the gun, and scroll on down. And of course, he's shot. He falls dead, and then asks Victor to take care of the little baby like she was your own. And that's when Victor's dad basically figures out, hey, look, this has gone too far. My science is not worth it. And the Third Reich even threatens his dad, to shoot him, as you can see right there. So that's when he decides, hey, I've messed up. My friend's dead because of me, because I wouldn't stand up for what I knew I should have. So he takes matters into his own hands to rescue him. So if you'll scroll down, I don't want to spend all our time, on my story. So they go on, and they just keep scrolling. Next page. He uses it against the German army, which I thought was kind of cool.
That is neat.
Because basically the technology is neither good nor evil. It's what you use it for. And which was back to the earlier conversation that he was having with Nora. Hey, yeah, bad people put some money into this, but we can use it for good, so on and so forth. His dad even went to the extremes. He wanted to make sure that his son, as well as the baby and the rest of his friends' family, were going to be able to make it out. So that's what they do. And we'll keep scrolling to the next page where there's the big reveal. The big reveal is that the baby was Nora. So that little baby was there. It adds to the saying of "rot in the cradle," because Victor basically did take care of my daughter. I didn't mean marry her, right? But anyway, so Thomas Wayne's like, "Wow, that was a great story. I feel better, having funded some stuff that was once related to the Third Reich and the German army. I really appreciate you telling that story. As a matter of fact, I'm going to give you this watch." So he gives him the watch. Because of the technology, Bruce is able to be born in the proper time because his mom's body's stuff is stabilized. And then later on, we see here that he's giving him the watch, his dad's watch. So, and that's basically how it ends. Now, as an additional note, at the back of the book, there's a note from Sean Gordon Murphy, because Klaus Janson is the child of German immigrants. So this story was a little more personable to him in that sense, since they came that time period. You know, they were all in the middle of all this. So I thought that was really neat that he was able to address that, as opposed to what people typically like to do, which is cover everything history you don't like up under a rug somewhere. So I thought that was neat as well.
Very cool.
What story was this again?
This was the Von Fries, the Batman, the White Knight Murphy verse, if you will. But it's the Von Fries one shot.
Cool. How old is that?
A couple of years old.
Or so.
Yeah.
That's
It came
I remember
out.
picking this up a few years ago. I mean, it's Black Label, so it can't be that old.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I
it
was
came
thinking.
out after
It's a full
White
story.
Knight. Yeah, it came out after White Knight, but before Curse of White Knight, I believe. So
Cool. It's a good story.
Indeed, that was an interesting one.
Nice.
TM, what do you got? I'm excited to see what you got, bud.
I went with JLA Wildcats #1 by Grant Morrison.
All right.
Who has them slides? So this is back in '97, I do believe. So this is like your typical superhero type of book. So like it jumps off like we start off with Wally West getting attacked, like Kid Flash getting attacked by Epoch. He's was Lord of Time, and he's just kind of chasing him through as the dialogue goes, and that he's just like it's kind of like retelling a story. Like the yellow is him telling like a background story of this, and as the story progresses, he's just trying to get away from him, but he can't. He can't, and he's like he keeps finding me, he keeps figuring out where I'm going in that. As the story progresses, we see he finally meets up with the Justice League of America as they're coming through time. Now, I'm not familiar with this Superman and how he's blue and has the lightning power. So if anybody could chime in on that, because I'm not familiar. Like that kind of threw me off while reading this story.
Yeah, there was a period there where I think he was blue, and there was a red one as well. That was during the period where I was not collecting or reading, so I couldn't help you as to why. But I know there was a blue one and a red one.
Where's
You know
Tim when you need him? He would know it.
That's what I was going to say. Let's ask him.
But I do like this page, and I love the art. Like I love how like for DC fans, they could find out who these characters are on one side, and then find out who the Wildcats are on the other side. For this kind of combination of DC and Image at the time, before Wildcats was bought by DC. But as the story progresses, we see that Wally West is the Flash in this one, so we're seeing him see his past self at this point. And then we really see what Epcot, he has this kind of traveling time cube, and he keeps jumping through time, and he's taking it, jumping through time through these different like ADs in time, trying to find the ancestors of the JLA to stop them and like kill them before they're even born. So we get a lot of that jumping through this story. So it's kind of wacky. It's kind of like a time traveling, just jumping through time, and that too much dialogue, in my opinion, in this story that didn't need to be. But like what captivated me more was the art in this book. So we just keep jumping through time, and that we see Alan Scott trying to save his family and that from areas, and they think they won. Epcot is like he disappears. So as they're trying to figure out this time. Time cube, they're just jumping through time at this point, and they're still stuck in a different time trying to get back home. As the story progresses, they end up jumping through and jumping into a totally different reality. And this is where they end up meeting the Wildcats. Through there.
Find that page. Here we go. Yeah, so the Wildcats were a creation of Jim Lee's when he helped found Image Comics, and then later brought that property over to DC. And I think the probably the most popular of those characters that's really taken off in the DC universe would be Grifter there, right? On the right.
Yeah, he's been in a couple of Batman stories. He's like a bodyguard to Lucius Fox. I'm pretty sure. So I love the art in this. Like this page here was just fantastic to see. And then at this point, we get introduced to the Wildcats. They're fighting some of the 7 deadly sins, which is like their villains where they're at. And it's cool how you see a couple flash pages of like perfect art. Like I can't stress this enough of how much I love the art going through this book. But we see some of their villains. What's that?
Who is the artist?
The artist was Val Zemeckis.
Oh, okay.
And Kevin Conrad did the coloring.
Nice.
So we get to see them kind of fighting through what they are, but then they end up running into the JLA. And then what happens here is each side thinks of them as the villains. Like I said, this is like a typical type of superhero story back in the 90s where like, oh, we see somebody new coming up. We were going to automatically think that they're villains, and then they start fighting each other. So, which is really cool. You see them kind of split off. You have Superman and Majestic kind of fighting, and then you have like Batman and Grifter fighting, Maul and Green Lantern fighting, and it's really cool seeing the types fight. But like where it got to, like this is like where you get to know some of the characters' little quirks and that, because Grifter is fighting Batman, and like Batman just like totally disarms him. And it's funny too, because then Grifter's just like, you know what, cool, I'm just gonna sit back and watch this. There's no point in me even trying anymore. You're gonna beat me. So that was pretty funny. Maul's powers, he can expand, but every time he expands himself, he gets dumber. And he's fighting Green Lantern at this point. And every time he expands, he gets dumber in that. And so Batman like sees that opportunity to come in and zap his brain, take him down. I thought like there'd be a bigger fight with Superman and what's his name? Majestic, but they kind of like settled the differences like quick. They were like, oh, okay, we settled it. You see a big kaboom, and then it's done. But this fight, Wonder Woman and Z-Lot, is a fantastic fight between the two of them. Two powerful warriors, in my opinion, fighting. And it was just a great fight scenes between the two of them. Another one was kind of like the Flash and Void. Void can like jump through voids in time, and the Flash was having problems fighting that. So as this progresses, they come to find out that, oh wait, we're all on the same side. We're trying to stop this guy from taking over the universes and destroying both of our universes. So at this point, they actually come to their senses and realize they're both sides are heroes. And they decide to team up and take on Epoch.
Very cool. Is that it? Is that the end?
No, they take on Epoch, and that like there's like he ends up like combining with the time cube and becoming more like, at the start he was just kind of through a little bit metal, but like as the story progresses, he gets more powerful, and like I don't know what, it's hard to explain what exactly happens to him, but like he just kind of like becomes an all being, like, and can just it takes all of the efforts of 10 people to stop him. And they end up trapping him into a still universe where it's like uncreated. So
Yeah. Wow.
It's quite the art, like you said.
So like there we go, right there is where he becomes like an all being, and
Yeah.
they have issues trying to stop him. He does kind of look weird.
Very cool.
Man. Neat. Awesome. I don't think I knew this issue existed, and I
didn't either.
I like weird crossovers like that. What's interesting about Grifter is he's actually in this current volume of Batman. He gets hired on by Wayne Corporation or Wayne Tech or whatever as some kind of bodyguard or whatever. I forget, but
Yeah, he's a bodyguard to Lucius Fox.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, but like this story, like it's an all right story. I was hoping for more out of it, but like it's just your average, like I said, 90s superhero story, and that nothing too spectacular, but like the art was just the thing I take from the most out of this.
Awesome.
Well, 90s did have some incredible artwork. A lot of people taking chances, I think, and it worked out a lot of the time. Not all the time, but
Yeah. Man, this is a long story.
yeah, I'm just still scrolling like, wow.
Yeah, I kind of got ahead of myself. I got ahead of myself in that. That's the uncreated world right there. That's the last page. And it's just like he will always be there. He'll always be stuck there. And he'll never come back. So I don't think I've never heard of this villain before. I think this was a one and done story. So if you guys could let me know if Epoch ever came.
Never heard of it. Yeah.
Very
Not
cool.
a DC guy, that's for sure. Mr. Lasso, I heard you got a rather unique story.
I do. I don't know how retro we're going to call this story, but
You know the rules. The book has to be at least 10 years old.
Well, then it don't qualify for
Is
that.
that the rules? I don't know if I passed.
I just made that up.
Oh,
Then I'm going to revert back to my Dr. Doom story that I'm going to feature, which in the private chat got a reaction, but not the reaction that I was hoping for from the person I was hoping that I could get them going. Boo, do you have me pulled up to Wonder Woman Black and Gold issue number 6, the third story?
The third story. All right, let me see.
So while he's doing that, I'll tell you something. You know, Giganta is a Wonder Woman villain that goes back to the Golden Age, but there aren't that many great Giganta stories. Most of the time, especially lately. Okay, go back up by another page. Okay, that's the beginning. So most of the time with Giganta, especially in the last several years, she just shows up for a few pages. Wonder Woman kind of knocks her out, and that's it. She makes more cameo appearances than she actually makes a guest appearance. But recently, in this Wonder Woman Black and Gold, here in the third story, we got a pretty decent Giganta story that I actually wish that they would have expanded upon. So we're starting out there, and there is Giganta. And if you look at her, she's got the lasso of truth around her. And she's running into this highway patrol. And she's like, call the Justice League, call the Teen Titans, call the Inferior Five. She's like, just get somebody. And the police officer, the officer on duty is like, he pulls his gun on her because he recognizes her as Giganta. And he's like, didn't you just break out of that Supermax prison last month? You're Giganta. You're always getting busted by Wonder Woman. And she says, yesterday that would have been right, but things have taken a turn. Then we go to the next page where we see we have a giant Wonder Woman. So the two have swapped places, which is interesting. So Giganta has the powers of Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman has the powers of Giganta. And so Giganta says that she's been hiding out in this town, Westville, since she broke out of jail, but she never thought Wonder Woman would come looking for her, but she just never gives up. So she bought a spell off this guy that was supposed to take Wonder Woman's powers and give them to her, which it did, but it also gave Wonder Woman her powers, and now they got this giant-sized Wonder Woman. So Giganta goes on to say how it used to be when the bigger she got, the harder it was for her to think. But they said when the spell hit Wonder Woman, she just shot up to this size in an instant, and she's lashing out. She hasn't hurt anyone, and she hasn't squashed anyone yet, but they worry that when she gets into the heart of town that she might do this. And this guy's like, well, if Wonder Woman was always able to defeat you and you've got her powers, you should be easy to defeat her. Well, you see Wonder Woman just kind of snaps her away and heads into the city. And Giganta throws the lasso around her. Don't do nothing. I mean, Wonder Woman is just making trash out of Giganta. So, and Giganta comes to the realization that it's not Wonder Woman's powers that are better. It's her, you know. She goes on to say, I mean, she's got the mind of chopped salad and she's still so good. She made sure not to kill anyone. But she's heading into town and they're really worried that she's going to lose control. And she thinks, you know, Superman or the Flash or somebody's going to show up. But in case they don't, I guess it's my obligation. So Wonder Woman's in this town. Giganta is going after her now. People are kind of freaking out and you know, they're saying run, and someone says, but it's Wonder Woman. And someone else says, yeah, but a giant Wonder Woman who stomped my car into a Frisbee. So Giganta flies up to her and she's trying to reason with her, you know, which is kind of what Wonder Woman does a lot. She's like, wait, you know, this isn't you. Deep down, you know that this isn't you. Every time that you busted me, you treated me with class. You always did the right thing. And then she says, so listen, you know, these people are scared. They're good people. They took me in, even though they didn't know me. They took me in instantly. Mrs. Hargrove made me pecan pie. Jose the mailman blushed when he asked me to the dance at the Halloween party. Someone else trusted me to watch her kids. And I've just lived next to these people for 2 weeks. They're good people. So I'm begging you, stop. Don't do this. Don't hurt them. And it's starting to get through to Wonder Woman. And she's like, thank you, sister. You have averted a tragedy this day. And then Giganta's like, yeah, a tragedy you almost caused. You know, do I have to use the lasso? And Wonder Woman's like, do I have to use the lasso to make me tell you who gave you this spell? And she instantly realizes that it's Clarion, the witch boy. And she kind of busts through Clarion's house there. And Clarion's like, you don't have to use the lasso on me. I just kind of thought it would be hilarious. And in my defense, it kind of was. But I'll be glad to change both of you back if you get this lasso off of me. Telling the truth makes me break out in hives. So we cut to the next day. And Giganta's like, so I'm going back to prison. And the EMO witch kid gets off scot-free. Well, this is typical. And Wonder Woman's like, technically, he didn't break any laws. But I told his people. And they will discipline him. And then she says, but I've spoken to the authorities. Your actions in defense of Westville will be considered at your parole hearing. So she says, you might be able to return here sooner than you imagine. And Giganta's like, well, after what I almost did to them, I don't know if that's a good idea. And Wonder Woman says, well, they accepted you once and you fought bravely for them. I would see no reason why they wouldn't do it again. And Giganta's like, you make it sound so easy the way that you always do. And she's like, not that we're ever going to be besties, but I've got some respect for you that I didn't before. And as Giganta gets hauled off in the paddy wagon, Wonder Woman says, and I, you, sister, I pray we both continue to earn it. So it's a cute little Giganta story. And there aren't many Giganta stories that have depth. I would have loved this to have not just been one of several mini stories, but a one-shot story that was a lot longer and played out through the entire issue, because I think that could have been the best Giganta story we've ever had.
Oh, for sure.
So is that the one with the Lieber Mayo cover? Or no? On the front? What issue of Black and Gold was that?
It's
yeah, that's the Lieber Mayo cover.
Sorry, I buy every cover, so
He does.
I do. And that one actually has a Virgin exclusive C2E2 cover to that.
That's a convention I absolutely have to go to sometime.
You do?
C2E2. Oh,
Yeah,
it's on my list. It's very high on my list. All right, Mr. Fu.
All right, so I am going to be reviewing from the New 52 Action Comics 23.2. And this is one of those, they came out with 4 issues. I think it was over the course of just a single month. It was, I want to say 2 to 4 issues per month for each title. And it was all replacing all of the titles with their respective villains. So Superman in Action Comics had 4 this month. And the second one was Zod. And each of these books, if you're looking to collect them, they came in the regular just the normal cover, and then also these. I guess they're lenticular. It doesn't like change the image so much, but it kind of has like a 3D look to it. It probably doesn't show up too well
Let me
here.
blow you up here. There you go.
I don't know if that shows
Oh,
up.
yeah.
Too
It
well,
kind of
but
shows
this
up a
is
little bit. Yeah.
the enhanced cover. So, but so this is a cool little story. Again, it goes through each of the different villains. And remember, this is the New 52. So each of the stories, it's not the normal continuity of the DC universe. So hold on, let me switch to my other tab here. All right, so the story opens up with a younger Zod on Krypton with his mother and father, and he's saying that he's always loved monsters, and we see that he has been raising this little monster in like some kind of aquarium type thing, but it's time for them to begin dissecting it, and he's upset with his father because he's like, no, I just raised this thing. He's like, yeah, but this thing will kill you. So these are lethal, whatever these little creatures are that they're growing here. And as he's trying, we also learned that Zod's parents aren't especially warm. I guess they don't cuddle much, right? Probably doesn't get much hugs as a kid, but but they're still trying to raise him. They're trying to teach him right. And as they begin, there is this larger monster that you can see. It kind of comes up out of the ground and launches this lab that they're in. It kind of looks like a pod up there at the top, and immediately they know they are in trouble. And so the three of them go running off into the woods. The mother is actually caught behind. Where did I just lose it? I'm sorry. I scrolled right past it. The mother's caught behind, and they have to. The father's like, yeah, just leave her. She's already dead. So. But he's trying to protect Zod. Now we flash forward a year later where, and this is cool. This is now Superman's grandfather, I guess, is here with his two sons, Zor-El and Jor-El. Okay. So it would be Superman's father and his uncle, but in their younger years. Okay. And they are on this mission to kind of to find this lost lab where they were attacked. And you notice there's this skull that they find with a stick in the eye. So take note of that. And as they, they're being attacked by monsters, but they're well armed, so they're taking them out no problem. But then this spear comes out of nowhere and kills one of them. And here is this jungle child. And of course, this is going to be Zod. And so we jump forward 15 years later. And now Zod has been rescued by Jor-El and his father and his brother, and takes Zod in as a member of their family. And so now Zod, again, he still has always had a thing for monsters. He is fighting these monsters, saying no mercy, but he's actually in like a hollow cube of some kind, right? So it's all it's just for practice. And here we see the two brothers, Zor-El and Jor-El, and they're talking about these warriors. The Char, who are like these lizard people that I guess Kryptonians have been at war with on one of the planets that they've inhabited. Over at the House of El, there is this party that they are at. It's kind of celebration, I guess. It's like a holiday. And we get this small little interaction between each of them. And we learn that Zor-El isn't the fondest of Zod, I guess, but Jor-El's always like, hey, leave him alone. He's all right. So you can tell Jor-El and Zod have a better relationship. And they're just reviewing some clips of these old monsters and stuff. And Zod is obviously still affected from what happened in his youth. Flash forward again 2 years later. And here we are at the Hall of War. And now we get Zod, and we learn where he has gone through a whole series of different warriors to kind of be at his side. And he's only found 2 that were worthy. And of course, we know these 2. These are, what's their names?
Shoot. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. They were in the Man of Steel movie.
Well, yeah, they were in Superman 2 as well.
Yeah.
You're talking about Nan and Ursa?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. So these so the 3 of them are now this like this team of elite warriors of Krypton. And you can see them here looking to fight the Char. The Char are attacking, and the 3 of them are off, kind of Krypton's big defenders. And you can tell the 3 of them really enjoy battle. And so here they are fighting the Char, these monsters. Krypton, of course, sees Zod as their savior. So it follows a similar story as what we know of Zod, but you'll see it's a little different here. Here are the Char, these lizard people, and they see something coming from far away, and then they realize by the time it's too late, it's the Kryptonians and their ships, and they are just blasting them to hell. And that's where when Zod gets back to Krypton, he goes in and he sees Jor-El in witnessing in this lab, right? And Jor-El turns around and just decks Zod, and he's like, "Yo, what's going on?" And that's when all these guns come and arrest Zod. They're in Zor-El's lab here because what Zor-El has discovered is that Zod actually created some of these monsters. The whole thing was a lie, just as a premise to go and attack the Char, because Zor-El never he likes fighting, basically, right? And so he wanted to give the Kryptonians a reason to rally and fight and create this war against the Char. So having been discovered, they sentenced the 3 of them, Zod and his 2 partners here, to the Phantom Zone. So again, this is a story we all know. And they say, "Any last words?" He's like, "Yeah, my name is Zod. And no matter what you do, no matter where you send me, I promise you this, I will always be your monster," which is kind of cool. Coming back to the whole monster thing. And the 2 brothers then are like, "Yeah, wow, I think we actually do understand that." And that's where it flashes back to the beginning here, okay? And this is where, I'm sorry, I screwed up in the beginning. I was jumping ahead a little. This is where we actually see the scene of the mother falling behind. And the father's like, "Just keep running, boy. Your mother's already dead. Like, we got to save you." And in this moment, you see Zod is understands, and he's like, "Okay, yeah, so I need to keep living. And mother was a sacrifice." And then check this out. He made his father a sacrifice too. So that skull we saw on the ground with the stick through the eye, Zod actually stabbed his father in the eye so that the monsters would finish feasting on him first, allowing Zod time to get away.
Oh, wow.
How wicked is that?
That's
and then we
gangster.
finally, end this with the scene of Superman, of course, and Zod basically saying from the Phantom Zone, he's going to grow strong until you need me again. The end. So
Wild.
Yeah. I mean, a different type of origin of Zod, but still pretty cool, I thought.
Was there any talk of kneeling? Because everything with Zod is kneel before Zod.
Yeah, no, none of that. But it was basically a story of him orchestrating this war against these other creatures, and then we learn in the end that he was going to do whatever it took to survive, and he was willing to lie for it. And
I think he has a kneeling fetish.
Yeah.
Very well could be. Very well could be. Yeah, moving on. Who's got a book show? Who's got show and tell? Lasso, all right. You go first, buddy. I'm gonna blow
All
you
right.
up here.
So since the theme tonight was villains, I pulled two things out, two of my treasuries that I thought would be fun to show. We have Secret Origins of Supervillains in treasury size.
Nice.
Awesome.
With the diorama intact on the back.
Oh, nice.
And then we also have more Secret Origins of Supervillains, which I like this cover better. And the diorama is intact on the back here too. And these actually do have clear backing boards on, but I thought that they would be fun for a book show. I've had them for a while.
He said he's sending them as an AOK to me next week.
Oh, yeah?
Funny, he said the same thing to me too.
Did he?
All right. Who's got one next?
I think Southern's got
All
one.
right. Go ahead.
All right, so I didn't know if it was against the rules to show a non-DC book.
Uh-oh.
But we did talk about George Perez earlier. And so I got this back in.
Oh, nice.
Oh, man. That's
Wow.
awesome.
So I got these Rubenstein and Starlin's done at GalaxyCon back in 2019. And then with the CBCS, Clay McDonald, George Perez signing, I said it's now or never for that. So I went ahead and got him to sign it, which he signed right there where I, cut the bag for him to sign. And it came back in 9/8. Ironically enough, I wasn't supposed to have that book yet. So they accidentally marked it Express, which I didn't pay for. But my other two books that were at the George Perez signing, the first Deathstroke and the first Nightwing, are at CBCS now. So we'll see what those come back as.
Awesome. I just did the George Perez signing too, but I opted not to have mine slabbed.
Right.
Because I have a lot more signatures I need to verify too.
Well, yeah. So I had to pay for the two verifications there because it was raw, right? But
right.
Then I got two. I sent two like that I had other signatures already on, and ones I felt like I could get the additional signatures to cap it off with. So I had two that I just got signed and sent back as well.
Jason, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
So on the slab, then, does it have the date that George signed it, and then it also says also signed by because those weren't witnessed?
That's
right.
So the date?
Yeah. So it doesn't have the date on there. It just says witness signature George Perez, January 31st of this year. Verified signatures Jim Starlin, Joe Rubenstein. So it makes that differential.
Cool.
I like how everything. I'm glad CBCS ditched the red label. I thought it was ugly as sin.
Oh yeah, a pink label, you mean?
Yeah. It's funny when Steve Borak was on the show, we talked about why they chose red, and the only reason they chose red because they wanted to originally go with silver, but the silver label, for whatever reason, whatever that material is, would flake. They wouldn't fade; it would flake off, and eventually would just be all white with a whole bunch of flakes at the bottom of the label. So they couldn't do it. And I thought silver would be nice, but I'm glad it's all yellow now.
Well, yes, for sure. I've had some I've sent back for reholder.
Yep, I got to do that too.
But the other thing that I spend my money on. So when certain comics start losing my interest and my pull list goes down, or if I'm not fixing to be buying a big book or something, these things start appealing to me. And so I picked up these here recently. But
did you see the Batman yet?
I
have not either. I'm gonna wait for it to HBO Max in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, I've heard it's really good though.
Heard it's really good too.
I've heard both ways. I've actually heard some that did not like it. So
really,
yeah.
What did they say they didn't like about it?
I didn't see that. I just saw that it didn't turn.
Yeah, I think people were upset that Robert didn't sparkle.
Sparkling night, yeah.
Yeah. So, Fu, you were talking about that Zod book a while ago. Are you reading World of Krypton?
No, I am not, but that is crazy that you just mentioned that. So I'm gonna have a video coming out within the next few weeks covering that. That's crazy.
Crazy that you're going to be actually reading it, or crazy that you're not reading it?
No, well, so I didn't even know it was out. So I came across the older one at an LCS. They had a huge dollar convention at an LCS in Nashville yesterday. And I came across some of the volume 2 of World of Krypton. In fact, I just shared it, I think, this morning with the fanboys chat, and I actually have because I found issue 1, 2, and 3, and so from Nucadia now I'm waiting to get issue 4, as well as the first 3 from volume 1, and I'll be showing those in a video coming up. And I only just learned literally this morning that there was a new volume that's currently out. So no, I am not reading it. But
well, yeah, Robert Venditti is writing it. Who he wrote the Superman 78, which I liked. Yeah, I'm a fan of Venditti on his stuff. So
super cool dude.
yeah,
I met him at Baltimore Comic-Con for the first time this past year. Awesome dude. And his kid was selling buttons. He was making, like, his dad gets like these books from DC, and his kid was making them out of, like, he had some kind of like button puncher. You could slide them in and make like pins. So he's got a box of his dad's old comic books, not old comic book books his dad working on. He's making like, hey, you like this character? He'd snap you a button for $1. And he's selling them for $1 or $2 a piece because he wanted to buy a bass guitar. And his dad was like discouraging, like, don't buy, like, I don't want my kid to have this guitar. Don't buy his buttons. Like, I mean, he was just being funny about it. It was really cool. But yeah, he's a cool dude. He's a really cool dude. TM, I think you had a book with, or a book or whatever you want to show.
Yeah, I have a couple of figures I want to show.
Go for it.
I'm not just a comic reader. I like my Beast Wars Transformers figures. So I got the Cheetor from the Netflix series of Rise of the, Kingdom line from the Netflix series, the 3rd installment of that. And I'm super pumped for Rise of the Beast, the next Transformers movie. So yeah. I got Cheetor, and I got Black Arachnia, who is a Predacon in this one, which is like the similar thing to Decepticons. So they're the villain, but she becomes a hero in later in the show. And then I got one of my favorite guys, Dinobot.
Raptor.
Cool. Nice.
And then to end it off, I'm going to show a comic book. It was a Kickstarter right there, Happy Pines First. It's a Canadian written book, and it takes place near where I'm at. But not only that, it's my very own exclusive. So my logo is on the cover. So I thought I'd show that off as well.
That's is really neat.
Nice.
I'll have to check that out. Yeah, I didn't know you were doing exclusive comics. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, so the Rogue Trader, I'm not sure if you guys have ever heard of the Rogue Trader. They're available on his website. You can get the regular cover or the TM Nerdy Rogue Trader cover as well on the website there, roguetraderutah.com. But yeah, I'm super pumped to have this because not only is it, like I said, it was written by a Canadian. It takes place like 2 hours from me. Like the story takes place 2 hours from where I live. And so to have a comic that's based like near my life, like why not?
So are the ones that Rogue Trader signed or Rogue Trader selling, have you signed those or no?
No, I did not sign those. But he will sign them. I have 4, like, because like some went to him and some went to me in Canada. And I know like Brother Joe bought one off of me, and it wasn't that much to send to the United States. It was like $13, but like I still have 4 of the exclusive and 3 of the regular cover here.
What you should have done is wait to sign it till you go to a convention that CGC or CBCS would be at, and they could witness you sign it at their table. Boom! Now you have your own yellow label.
Well, you could. I did that, but I didn't have to go to a booth.
You didn't? Okay.
Yeah, you send in the certification paper with the copy of your driver's license, and CBCS will certify it. So my exclusive, yeah, they have. I got a copy that has yellow labels on.
I didn't
that's
know
cool.
that they it was a service they offered. I thought they had to go to their booth or whatever. But that's
Yeah,
kind of neat.
I think CGC does it too.
Yeah.
But I don't use them unless I absolutely have to. So
Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, I don't use them either.
little product placement there.
Yep. Again, we're no sponsor. Yeah, me. Let me go here. So I'm just going to show you the book I did for the retro review here. So I have the book that I read, signed by Charles Scholl. So it's him as the Red Lantern, him as the Blue Lantern. Cool little 3D cover here. The New 52 did a whole bunch of these one shots, and I thought they were awesome. And that's pretty cool. And a lot of people didn't really care for New 52, but I thought it was great, to be honest with you. I really did. I thought it was a lot better than what we got now, that's for sure. Yeah, Now 52 didn't seem so bad, but that's what I got. I think everybody went. Anybody got any cool videos coming out on their channel? Anybody got anything crazy? Yes, Lasso? I see you got your hand raised.
Yeah, so this past week on my channel, I did a video, kind of a JLA haul, because I'm really working on my JLA books this year. And I show a lot of Bronze Age, but then right at the end, I show pretty good Silver Age book. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you, it's the oldest JLA in my collection now. So check that video out if you haven't seen it yet. There is a new cover by video with Comics for Thomas and Cookie from Just a Little Podcast that is up. For some reason, the algorithm does not like this video, and this video needs all the help that it can get. So if you really watch that, that would be awesome. We have the back issue of the week, which is celebrating all this month, Women's History Month, and there'll be another one dropping tomorrow. There's already been 2 out. The next one will drop tomorrow. On Tuesday, I'm dropping a video where I received a AOK from Comic Food 2814. So that unboxing is in the video, along with some books that I picked up in a Walmart 4-pack. So that video will be dropping on Tuesday. And then I'll probably be doing another what have I been reading short as well. So that's all that you can expect to find and coming up soon on my channel.
Interesting. Mr. TM, I know you're pretty active on the YouTubes. Do you have anything cool coming up?
Well, I did have my Dogma review with a bunch of other people throughout this community. We're jumping from channel to channel, reviewing Kevin Smith movies. We just did Dogma over on my channel. Today I dropped a review on Alpha Dog's Kickstarter. Number 1, it was actually a really good book. Got some art that I showed off in that video as well. Tomorrow I will be over on Roscoe's channel, Geek Out with Roscoe's channel, for Between the Lines, where him and Cardboard Crazy will be drawing, and I'll be attempting to draw while we just chat. Then Wednesday I have my Chatting with the Comic Community, where I'll have Mark from Geeks Unleashed on with me, and then Thursday I'll be over on Paul Cook's channel, and then Friday I'll just say here I'll be over on Tony Sanders' The Hunt. I'm gonna sneak attack Lady Fantastic.
Awesome. Mr. Southern Comic Bookie, what do you got coming up?
So I just dropped a video a couple of days ago with Warlord's mystery box unboxing, and I got one that went up today. Some mystery boxes from Spider-Man booth, and I'll probably have a video or two drop next week. But that's about it.
All right, Comic Foo, what do you got?
Well, so I had 2 Comic Find videos come out this past week, and I've been pulling in some big hauls, and so a lot of Silver Age books. I too have been collecting a ton of action figures lately, so those are in those hauls as well. This week I will have another finds video. I've got some more incredible Silver Age to share, and I will have some additional haul videos coming up as soon as I'm just waiting for some stuff to get here from eBay, but I will have some other big action figure hauls. So that's what's going on with me.
Very cool. Very cool. I'm doing shorts starting tomorrow, going all the way to Friday.
Nice.
Shorts have been a hit and miss for me. I'll have some that go to 1,000 in like no time at all. And then like the last one I did, it took me a week to get the 7 views. So like I don't know what is going on. And for some reason, the ones that perform the worst are always the Green Lantern ones. It's a shame because I want them to do well. I really do. I like the Green Lantern. I want other people to like the Green Lantern, but
I'm not sure if that was like a shots fired or.
Oh, it's always shots fired on this show.
I'll have you know my Green Lantern videos are doing just fine.
and that's fine. Mine aren't doing so great, and I'm not sure why. But
yes.
Controls, yeah.
Yes, thank you, Collect. I always forget these things. Actually, we need to talk about that. I'm not going to announce that.
To be determined, dollar bin trolls.
Well, I had something come up, so I need to talk to the guys about that. But yes, we do have a dollar bin trolls coming up soon. It was supposed to be this next Saturday. Unfortunately, they don't know it yet, but they're finding out now. I'm going to have to reschedule. So.
Oh, okay. You heard it here first. The 20 Fed exclusive. Oh yeah, and I have my Warlord unboxing here too shortly. I just got to find a cool way to film it. But we'll figure that out. But all right, we're going to wrap things up here. We went a little overboard, but double tip of the hat to Southern Comic Book Geek and TM Nerdy.
Good job tonight.
Thank you both. I encourage you to sub both of them up. If you haven't already, their links are in the description below. And while you're there, Comic Fu really needs some subs. Go ahead and sub him up. He's getting close to another big milestone.
14,000.
Yeah, right.
He's a little far behind the $14,000 or 14,000 sub mark, but appreciate everyone for showing up and sub up all of our panels today. But we will catch all of you next week, and we are on whose channel next week? I forget.
Probably mine.
I think it's food.
I think it is you. Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, we'll see you next week on Comic Fu 2014.
Actually, it won't be on mine. So again, I've had something come up with family. Next week.
Okay.
So
Magic.
Again, another announcement. But
if Tim shows up, it's going to be on Tim's. If Tim doesn't show up, it's going to be on mine.
All right. All right, and stay tuned because Flash is going to be sexy.
Oh yeah, it
Flash.
might be on his too.
Yeah, it might be on his. He's making his grand return. But
this is what I would do if I was you. I would just check our Instagrams.
Check out our Instagrams for sure. Everybody's links are in the description. Go ahead and sub everybody up for sure.
And apologies in advance because I'm going to have to miss the next several weeks. So.
Oh geez.
I will be taking attendance.
That's okay. I have an excuse.
Appreciate everyone for showing up today, especially our good folks here in the chat. But we will see all of you next week. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening. Peace out.